Hey guys, Enders here. Welcome back to another video. In a sort of surprise announcement, they actually announced an update that's supposed to be coming out today as of this video. So in the comment section below, let me know if the update broke anything, because that's always a classic with DICE. I would love to know if anything was broken as soon as the update goes live. This update is dubbed as Battlefield 2042 Update 1.1, and it is also the quote-unquote July update. And the next update is slated to have further vehicle changes and is supposed to come out in August. They did not specify early or late. Before we get into the video, thank you guys so much for all the support in the past month. This has been one of the best months ever since Battlefield 2042 was released, so I just want to thank you guys again for that. And as always, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. So with Battlefield Update 1.1, or the July update, I'm not going to lie, there is a bunch of nothing written in these patch notes. I'm only really going to go over the changes that I find to be interesting or actually worthwhile to go over. If you would like to follow along, there will be the link to the patch notes in the description of this video. And without further ado, let's go over the important things to actually mention in the general changes section. Starting with something for you controller players that you might have noticed, they resolved an issue where controllers would not provide input when launching the game. They also added new XP events. The new XP events are new pilot kill bonus, new disarming mine event, and repair assists. They have also reduced the amount of XP that you get for spot assists, so you will no longer be able to just throw a grenade into a bunch of people and get a ton of XP for that. They've made various changes to smooth out the overall quote-unquote camera experience. We will have to see what that entails because that is a very vague sentence. Moving on to the Battlefield Portal section, there's a bunch of stuff in here that just doesn't matter at all, but the most important thing that I think is definitely the fact that they added 4 extra small layouts for existing maps, those maps being Battle of the Bulge, El Alamein, Kaleidoscope, and Manifest. These layouts will be applicable to vehicle TDM, but they will also work in Team Deathmatch and Free-for-all. So I would expect DICE to put something in the game pretty soon with a playlist going over the new small layouts for these maps. I would not be surprised to see something like that. Moving on to the gadget section. The most notable change here is that AA missile users will now see when the stealth helicopter is in its stealth mode, and the spawn beacon no longer takes 4 to 7 shots to kill, it now only takes 1 to 2 shots to kill. So spawn beacons are very fragile, as they should be, and as they've always been in Battlefield. Moving on to the Hazard Zone section, just kidding, no one cares about Hazard Zone. Moving on to the Breakthrough section, distinctive icons have been added for both attackers and defenders. Directional retreat indicators have been added for defenders. This helps you understand which direction you need to retreat. And honestly, I think some people might actually need that help because I've seen teammates stay in the enemy's uncap after a sector has been captured for over 5 minutes. And I don't understand how they aren't dying, but I have seen this happen, and I'm sure some of you have seen it as well. And the final notable change in the Breakthrough section, audio has been tweaked to increase the feeling of tension during a match. That is, once again, extremely vague in classic DICE fashion. I have no idea what that means, or if it's referring to music, so again, we will just have to see what that means. Reminder to subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Moving on to the Soldier section, jumping will no longer sometimes be interrupted after sliding. Soldier hip rotations animations have been improved, as well as a slew of other third-person animation changes that they mentioned before Season 1 actually came out. You're now able to vault over some angled walls that prevented this previously. And if you are a edge-of-the-map sniping degenerate, this change will apply to you. You are now able to aim down sights while being prone. So congratulations, I'm sure many of you are very happy about that. Strafing no longer causes the camera to slightly move. This is just a very strange thing. I didn't know that strafing actually caused the camera to slightly move. It shouldn't, theoretically, but apparently they fixed that, so excellent. Fall damage should no longer be inconsistent. The death animation while redeploying has been removed, and it is now possible to interrupt the initial deploy animation while ADS. And I think what that is referring to is when you spawn, you typically have to charge your weapon, you pull the charging handle of it, and that is an animation that sometimes gets you killed, and apparently you are able to interrupt that now. Moving on to the Specialist section, there really isn't much to go over here. I will add that the most important change that I would like to see to Specialist is Casper's OPV drone not being able to have C5 on it. they have still not removed C5 drones from the game, which is unbelievable and an insane design oversight. And anyone typing in the comments right now going, it's part of Battlefield. No, it's not. It's overpowered. You're flying around an RC drone that can one-shot a tank. It shouldn't be in the game at all, period. And it was actually patched out of Battlefield 3 with C4 being able to be attached to MAV drones. So it's been patched out in previous Battlefields. It should be patched out in this Battlefield. But the most notable changes to Specialist is probably Lys's missiles not being able to bounce off of vehicles anymore, and Dozer's shield can now absolutely tank one of Lys's TV missiles. So that's pretty interesting. Dozer really doesn't have any regard for his own life, does he? Moving on to the UI/HUD section, undoubtedly the most important change in this section is you will no longer see a hit indicator when shooting at a dead enemy's body. I can't tell you how many times I've shot dead bodies in this game and have gotten hit markers and just have kept shooting it until I think it'll be dead, only to realize it's not an actual alive player. So thank you for removing that, finally. Moving on to one of the most important sections of this entire update, the vehicle section, both Jet 25mm cannons have been drastically buffed. Damage has been increased from 20 to 30. Damage fallout start has been increased from 100 to 250 meters. Minimum dispersion has been entirely removed. Maximum dispersion has been decreased from 1 to 0.7, and dispersion increase per shot has also been lowered. So basically, these Jet 25mm cannons have seen massive buffs to them. Hopefully, they will actually be worth using. There were also changes to the airplane air-to-ground missile. The missile rate of fire was increased from 30 to 90, replenish delay increased from 8 seconds to 20 seconds, lock time increased from 1 second to 1.5 seconds, and lock release time reduced from 1 second to half a second. And finally, some changes to air-to-air missiles, meaning like heat seekers. They increased the lock time from 1 second to 1.5 seconds. Moving on to the Nightbird mounted 20mm cannons. They have actually nerfed them, which is incredibly weird considering that they didn't nerf the stealth helicopter 30mm cannons, which are vastly more overpowered and the actual problem in the game right now. But the rate of fire on the Nightbird 20mm cannons have been reduced from 250 to 200, and the replenish time has been increased from 1.8 seconds to 2.5 seconds. And again, I just have to emphasize, they nerfed the Nightbird 20mm, which nobody uses, and they have not nerfed the stealth helicopter, which is probably the most overpowered vehicle in the entire game right now. But DICE knows what they're doing, guys. Just trust them. Moving on to the MAV, they have completely rebalanced the autocannon. DICE's reasoning is autocannon has been adjusted to make it a close-range anti-vehicle weapon with diminishing power over longer distances. Now, finally, the most important change in this whole patch, in my opinion, they have nerfed the Condor and the Super Hinds 50mm cannon pod. And yes, while it only says in the patch notes MV38 Condor 50mm cannon pod, this does apply to the Super Hinds 50mm as well. I'm not gonna lie, boys, these nerfs are so heavy, I would doubt that anyone is gonna die to this 50mm cannon anymore. It now only fires in single shots, rate of fire reduced from 110 to 40 RPM, and longer replenish delay to fit the new slower rate of fire. So they gutted this thing. And you can thank yours truly for that, for exposing how absolutely broken this was and essentially forcing them to do something, because make no mistake, there's no coincidence between me abusing this and them nerfing it directly in the next patch. I know for a fact that DICE devs were actually farming in this thing themselves after they saw me doing it. In fact, here's a screenshot proving that to anyone that doesn't believe me. Moving on to the weapons section, they have increased the revolver's damage up to 75 meters, and in an absolutely shocking turn of events, they have buffed the BSVM, which is already the most overpowered mid to long range weapon in the entire game, as well as they also buffed all the other of the DMRs, which I don't really care about. But the main point is, they actually buffed the BSVM before they nerfed it, which is truly representative of how completely lost they are. But the actual changes they made, are they increased the DMR's bullet velocity across the board, and they also increased the DMR's headshot multiplier across the board. The BSVM saw its bullet velocity go up from 700 to 790 meters a second. The SVK went from 860 to 960 meters a second. The VCAR went from 600 to 700 meters a second, and the DM7 went from 740 to 800 meters a second. As far as the headshot multipliers, the BSVM, which could already kill someone in one headshot and one body shot from across the entire map, has had its headshot multiplier increased from 1.9 to 2.2. This means that if you take a headshot from a BSVM or the DM7, you'll be taking 77 damage in the head from across the entire map. The SVK saw its headshot multiplier increased from 1.5 to 1.6, and the VCAR saw it increased from 1.8 to 2 times. So that is going to do it for this patch. There were some really, really good changes, and there were some extremely questionable changes. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the content. I stream every single day, and I'll be streaming the patch, of course, when it goes live. Follow my Twitch down in the description below. Join the Discord, and follow me on Twitter to stay updated as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.